So many photographs fail because of distractions. In this video I'll tell you how I improved my photography through avoiding distractions. Hi my friends, nice to see you, and I hope everyone is well out there in these really crazy times. Today I want to talk about some really simple things what massively improved my photography. And so I picked out 5 different things for you which could end up in a distraction, and if you avoid them you will definitely improve your photography. So let's go on. Oh no, the washing machine is on. What did I want to say to you now? And the first thing I want to talk with you is, I think the most obvious thing, it's all about distracting elements in your photographs. So you know, when you take a photograph, you always should think about which elements add to your story, then you should include these elements to your frame, and which elements don't add anything to your photograph. These are the distracting elements which don't add anything, and you should avoid these elements. And I prepared 3 pictures for you now, what I've taken in the past, and let's have a look which of these elements distract the viewer's eyes. So this photograph was taken, I think 2 years ago. I was out for a scouting tour, scouting for some nice trees, and I knew already in front that there will come a thunderstorm, and before it arrived there was built an amazing structure in the sky. The clouds built a kind of wave up there. It was absolutely amazing. And to be honest, I wasn't prepared for this photograph. It was a quick snap only, and the wind was really strong up there, so I didn't have all too much time to build up a really great composition. But anyway, the composition, I think it's not the worst one. So the subject are these fantastic trees there, and we have this kind of S-curve what leads you from the sky back there to the trees. We have also this leading line from the left corner to the trees. So this is really fantastic, and also the trees are really awesome, the landscape is awesome, but there is one thing, or there are 2 things what I'm not really happy about, and that's the reason why it got only 3 stars. First of all, we have this light spot on this left side what draws the eyes. I think it had been possible to reduce this a little bit with post-processing, but I didn't spend all too much time into this photograph, and the reason for that is the major problem with this photograph is that there are so many distracting elements behind these 2 trees. There is a little forest behind, and we don't get an isolation between these 2 trees and the trees back there. So these are the distracting elements what ruins this photograph. I know the sky is really amazing, and when we had something back there, let's say rain would already help a little bit. Fog were difficult because when you have clouds up there, usually you don't have fog, but anyway we would need anything between these 2 trees and these trees back there, so maybe a little bit of snowfall or something like this. I think this would be the element what could rescue this photograph, but as it is, it's a nice shot, but it's definitely not a world-class shot. Another photograph what doesn't really work because of distracting elements is one of the waterfall photographs what I took in my, not in my last waterfall video, it was the waterfall video before. I think it was Heaven for Waterfall Photography, I will link you above. And let's have a look at this photograph. Well, I made already a video where I analyzed this photograph in detail, so there are some things I'm not 100% happy about. So it's also only a 3-star image, and the major problem here are also distracting elements. So when we have a look at these rocks here on the left, we also have a light spot here what draws the eyes, and we have so many things going on there. It distracts from this nice scenery with this waterfall back there, this nice little waterfall here in the foreground. And we also have this tiny waterfall back there. And the problem with this one in the midground is that we don't see all too much of it. And to get rid of this, what we can do is, I could go higher with the camera position so that we see more from the midground, that we see more of this tiny brook what goes down here. And I also could go a little bit closer maybe. So also in this photograph are some elements what distract the viewer's eyes, and this is also the main reason why it doesn't work as a 4 or even 5-star image. Another photograph what doesn't work because of distracting elements is one of the photographs I took in some videos ago. I think it was the first video in our lockdown here in Austria. We have a quarantine here in Austria with exceptions, so I was allowed to go out. I mentioned this already in my previous videos. So I only was out for a short walk and spotted this fantastic snack out there. It's really fantastic. I was blown away from the mosses up on the tree and also how it caught the light. We have these leading lines from the left corner, and we also have this amazing branch here what looks like a fork. The only thing is there are so many things going on in this photograph. So all these branches back there distract a little bit. There are too many sharp-edged lines, and also we see a little bit of the sky. That's not really the sky, it's more aside to the mountain back there. But anyway, it draws the eyes. There are bright parts everywhere up there. So the solution to solve this were with a big amount of fog or with snow. I mentioned this already in the video, I think. I think the first snowfall of the year, or maybe really in the autumn with lots of fog. This could really end up in a fantastic photograph, I think. But when I think about distractions in photography, it's not all about distracting elements in your photographs. So there are 4 other things what could lead into distractions and could prohibit you to get a really great photograph. So the second thing what could lead into distractions and prohibit you to get really great photographs are rules. When I see a member of my workshop struggling with building up a composition, I often ask the question, what are your thoughts about this scenery? And quite interesting is, in most cases they try to explain me which rules they want to use in their photograph. So if you think too hard about using rules, maybe how to use the rule of thirds or the golden ratio, or to straighten the horizon or whatever, it really could block you, it could prohibit you to get a really great photograph. And what I do is I always try to feel into my compositions. And when you have seen already some of my previous videos, you know that I do sometimes something like this. These are no kung fu exercises or karate or also not yoga or something like this. It has a reason. Because I always try to feel my compositions. I always try to feel how the lines and shapes what are there in my composition, how they feel. You know, we have our eyes to see, but eyes are only a sensor. But we also have other sensors. We have our ears. It's different to hear our composition, obviously. But we also, you know, when you are dancing, for example, you start to feel the rhythm, and you maybe feel good when you move with the rhythm. And I found out it's really amazing when I try to concentrate on lines, shapes and patterns maybe, and I try to follow them, and I try to get a feeling if it feels harmonic or not. And it's really a difference. So when you try this the first time, it maybe wouldn't work, but if you do this for some months maybe, I guarantee you, when you really listen to your body and you try to feel your composition, I guarantee you will see a progress in your photographs. Give it a try, it's really an amazing thing. It may look crazy for people who come across, but however, it works and it feels really fantastic. And I mentioned this already in some of my previous videos. My grandfather was a homeland painter here in this area, and what he did is, he always used his thumb or his brush. Do we have a brush here? We imagine this is a brush now. He always used his thumb or his brush, and he always tried to frame the photograph, the painting what he saw. It gave him an idea how the finished painting would look like before he started to paint. I was a little child when he did something like this, and to be honest, I didn't understand at this point what he really did there. And so you know how children are, they try to do everything what they see, and I always did something like this and so on. But when I started with photography, I understood that painting and photography is so similar in different things. He was also a professor of art, so he really knew what he did. And I tried all these things also to use for my photography, and it ended up that I found out that it feels different how the lines move inside my composition. And I tried this and tried always more, and finally I found out that it really helps me to build up a fantastic composition. So I can really recommend, try it by yourself. Don't think about the people who come across. It will improve your photography. So watch out that you don't get distracted by thinking too hard about the rules. And the third thing that you could get distracted at your photography is gear. So you know, I always say that gear is not the most important thing at photography, because there are so many other things that are much more important. For example, the composition and so on, the light, all these things that you bring the things together in your photograph. All these things build the difference to get a really strong photograph. But anyway, the gear is an important thing. And so if you don't know how your gear works, and if you don't know how to use your camera, your lenses, your filters and so on, if you have to think too hard about your gear when you're out for photography, you can't concentrate on your composition 100%. You always have to concentrate on your gear, and this could distract. So really get sure that you understand your camera, that you know how to use exposure brackets, that you use which aperture to use, which shutter speed to use, what is the most possible closed aperture you could use on your lenses. It's different for each lens. And when you don't have to think about these things when you're out, when these things work automatically, you can concentrate 100% on your composition, and finally you will get out really fantastic photographs. Because if you start to think hard about your camera gear and so on when you are out for photography, it's really difficult to get into this emotional connection with the landscape, with the nature, what is so important to build up a really great photograph. And the fourth possibility that you could get distracted at photography are other people. So it sounds critical, but when I'm out for photography and there are other people, it could happen that I'm not able to come into this emotional connection. Because you know, we are social, not only we photographers, we humans obviously, we are social. And this means when there are other people, we always communicate with them. Maybe we don't talk with them, but maybe over gesture or facial expressions. I think these things are unconsciously, but however, when I try to get into emotional connection with the nature, with my subject, and there come other people who look at me and don't understand what I'm doing here, it could really be distracting. It is not a problem when there are other photographers out there who do exactly the same like me. So this means at workshops, for example, it really works fantastic because everyone tries to get into this emotional connection. And by the way, this is really an important part for me when I'm out for giving a workshop to other photographers. I always try to show my way, how I work, what works really fantastic for myself. And this is one of these really important points, to get into the emotional connection. And when everyone tries it, it doesn't matter if there are 5 or 6 people, when everyone tries it, it works. But when one person comes, which does anything else or only watches at what they are crazy doing there, it could be distracting. So we are social, we are distracted when other people come and watch at what we do, when they don't know what we do, and when they are not part of this, when they are only watching. And so I think this is also an important point when you think about who goes out for photography with you. So for example, when you take your wife with you or your husband or whatever, and he or she is not a photographer, it could get tricky. And what I do in such cases, I always try to get quality time with the person I'm out there, but I also try to get quality time with photography where I'm 100% with the photography and nothing else. Because otherwise I lose my focus. I don't get into touch, I don't get this emotional connection, what is so important for photography. And the fifth thing what could distract you for your photography is lack of time. It could be that you arrive not early enough on location, so that you don't have enough time, and this ends up usually in a hurry. And when you are in a hurry, you can't concentrate 100% to your photograph, to finding a great composition, to build up your composition how you want to do it. So what I do is I always try to get out a whole day and feel into the location. And also when I've already been there and I only want to take the final photograph, I always try to be there early enough to get into this connection and to fix these last tiny things in my composition to get a really great photograph out of it. And the ironic thing is, when you are in a hurry, when you try to get a great photograph, you have a so hard wish to get a photograph, but exactly this thing blocks you and prohibits you to get a really great photograph, because it doesn't allow you to get into this emotional connection, this important element in photography. So it's really important to have enough time out on location to build up a really fantastic composition. And as already mentioned, usually I'm out for a whole day for photography, and this is also a thing what's really hard in the moment with our lockdown here in Austria, because it's not allowed to be out for many hours. We are only allowed to go out for a little walk, but not for a bigger hike, and this is really difficult for me. And this is also one of the reasons why I apologized already more times for a short video. I thought the video was short because I was only out for, let's say, 45 minutes or something like this, or 60 minutes. And usually I'm out for 6 or 8 hours or longer. And so I also thought that the video will get shorter. So it's really crazy in the moment, let's be honest. But however, I'm really grateful that I'm allowed to go out in the moment, because I heard already many of you are not allowed to go out for photography in the moment. This is really hard. So I cross my fingers for you that you also will be able to go out for photography soon. So, and another thing that I could get into a hurry is maybe that I have an appointment afterwards. So this is really bad. I always try to be out the whole day, as already mentioned, because I don't want to be limited by time. So maybe when I'm up on the mountain and I know exactly I have to be down at 8 o'clock, whatever, doesn't matter, I always have to look on my watch or on my phone or whatever to have an idea what's the time, so that I don't get too late. And this is really not a good thing. It really distracts, and I'm not able to come into this connection. And so having enough time is really important to get a fantastic photograph. So, and the sixth thing how you could get distracted at your photography, should be only 5, let's call it a bonus tip, is your condition. It is how you feel. If you are hungry, if you are thirsty, if you are tired, all these things can annoyingly distract you from your photography. So what I do is I always have something to eat with me, maybe an apple, a banana, a cereal bar, whatever. I always have something with me, so when I get a little bit hungry, I always have something with me, so that this doesn't distract me from my photography. I also have a look that I always have enough to drink with me. Well, it's not always so easy, to be honest, because you know, when we are up on the mountains, in so many times you have so many hours to hike, and it's easier in summer and autumn and so on, when there are brooks that go down the mountain, so you always can refill your bottle. It's difficult in winter, to be honest. I also did already a video about this where I had exactly that problem. I will not link it, so you can search in my videos. It has anything to do with limitations. Just a little tip. Being tired is also a really bad thing when you're out for photography. When you've seen the video, how was it called? Limited Through Hard Times. I will link you above. It was really not funny to photograph on this day, to be honest. I didn't sleep all too much the whole week. By the way, this was the video where I took the photograph of the tree, what you have already seen before. I didn't expect to photograph anything at that day, to be honest, because yeah, I explained it in the video. You can have a look. It was really hard week. Absolutely hard. And what I do is, when I'm out for photography, let's say anywhere in a mountain or wherever, doesn't matter. Of course, you can take a coffee with you, but you always need an extra bottle for that. and usually you have also something to drink with you, and when you have to hike longer ways, it's an additional weight, and you also need the space to transport it, obviously. And with the time I found another solution for getting coffee when I'm out there, and these are these airman beans. I think they should call it photography beans, but obviously it has to do with pilots who need to be tired when they're up there on the sky, whatever. So when I'm out there and I get tired, I take one of these capsules. I don't get sponsored by them, by the way. I only tell this because I find it's really a great solution. So, and in conclusion, the worst possible situation where if you think hard about rules, while you get tired listening to a person which tells you anything about gear, and you have to hurry that you don't miss dinner because you're already hungry. Try to avoid such a situation. I hope you enjoyed this video. If yes, please give it a thumbs up. Share this video with your friends on Facebook, Instagram, wherever. I were really happy about, and I think also the people you would share the video with were also really happy about. Subscribe to this channel if you didn't have already. So thank you so much for watching. See you next time. Thank you. Bye.
I'm the landscape you need to see. You are the artist I'll never be. Stay with me and I have no doubt you'll make a painting that makes you proud.